Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. 7 years ago, Emily Harper, a successful executive at Lucas Whitman's company, a charismatic and demanding CEO, disappeared without a trace. No one knew why. The only thing Lucas knew was that Emily was pregnant, but she had kept everything a secret. Lucas was left alone to deal with his guilt and frustration, unable to understand why Emily had left him behind with this secret. Time passed, the business prospered, but a part of his heart remained empty, haunted by her absence. Then, one day, by a twist of fate, he runs into Emily, or rather, her children. Two small faces that are strangely familiar to him, but that he has never seen grow up. The shock is brutal. 7 years of silence, 7 years of unanswered questions, and now, the consequences of his ignorance and distance are hitting him hard. Who exactly are they to him? How did Emily survive and hide this truth? And most importantly, what will he do now that the past is knocking at his door with the innocence of his children? One thing is certain, nothing will ever be the same again. Lucas Whitman, a respected and feared CEO in the business world, was in the middle of a meeting when his assistant walked in, his face ashen. "Sir, there are children at the reception desk. 2 little girls. They say they want to see you." Lucas frowned. He knew all the employees' families, all the customers, but those names meant nothing to him. Children? Who are they? They say they are your daughters, Mr. Whitman. Lucas's world seemed to stop. His eyes fixed on the glass door of the hall. 2 small figures entered timidly, each clutching a worn doll. The taller one, with brown curls like his own, looked at him with an intensity he couldn't ignore. The smaller, more timid one remained behind, as if afraid he would reject her. His breath caught. 7 years. 7 long years of ignoring this part of his life, assuming Emily had simply chosen to disappear, leaving behind a void he had learned to endure. And now the past stood before him, embodied in the eyes of these 2 little girls. Lucas stood up, trembling, unable to say anything. The children remained frozen, silent, waiting for his reaction. And for the first time in a long time, Lucas felt a fear he had never known, the fear of losing what had been taken from him without him being able to protect it. A soft but firm voice rose from behind the children. "Hello, Mr. Whitman. I think you must know us." Lucas turned his head and saw Emily. She hadn't changed as much as he'd thought. She was still as beautiful as ever, but her eyes bore the fatigue and strength of 7 years of silent struggle. She'd hidden her pregnancy, disappeared, survived, and now she was back with their children. Lucas's shock was complete. The world around him seemed to collapse. He had just realized that everything he thought he knew about his past was just an illusion. Lucas Whitman stood there, frozen, unable to blink. Emily Harper, the woman he had loved and lost, stood before him, proud but firm, and behind her, 2 little girls who looked uncannily like her. "Lucas. I know you have a lot of questions," Emily began, her voice shaky but controlled. He clenched his fists, trying not to let the emotion overwhelm him. "Questions?" "Yes, like why you disappeared, why you didn't tell me, and why I never knew I was the father of these children." Emily took a deep breath. "I had to protect our daughters. You were busy, always in your world of business. I didn't want to disturb you. I knew if I had told you, you might have tried to hold me back, and I wasn't ready." Lucas felt his heart clench. Every word Emily said stirred up the guilt and pain he'd suppressed for 7 years. 7 years, 7 years of wondering where you were, what you were doing, why you left me in the dark. "Emily, I had no choice, Lucas," she interrupted gently. "Our daughters, they needed stability, not the chaos of your corporate world. I had to fend for myself." The little girls, who had been silent until then, came forward timidly. The oldest whispered, "Dad, my name is Lily. And this is my sister, Mia." Lucas felt tears well up. Their eyes reflected innocence and fear, the same fear he had felt at their age. He knelt down, trying to keep his trembling voice from falling. I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Emily looked him straight in the eyes. Sorry isn't enough, Lucas. 7 years have passed. And now we have to make up for all that lost time, if you're ready. Lucas knew nothing would be easy. The grudges, the hurt, the lack of time together, it was all there, palpable. But deep down, one thing was clear, he had to make amends. For Emily. For their daughters. For himself. The road would be long, strewn with pain and revelations. But for the first time in 7 years, Lucas felt that a glimmer of hope could emerge from this chaos. The next day, Lucas Whitman found himself in his backyard, a place he'd never imagined sharing with his children. Lily and Mia, still wary, played timidly on the lawn, their tentative laughter echoing bittersweetly in his memory. Emily watched from afar, her eyes full of caution. She knew Lucas had trouble expressing his emotions, but she wanted to give him a chance. "Dad, can you come play with us?" asked Lily, the older one, squeezing her little sister's hand. Lucas felt his heart clench. That simple word, Dad, carried the weight of 7 wasted years. He knelt, hesitant. I'll try," he answered softly. The children burst into joy. Lucas smiled in spite of himself and clumsily tried to join in the fun. He threw a ball to Lily, but it rolled too fast and missed. The girls laughed, and the soft sound melted some of the built-up tension. For the first time, Lucas noticed Emily's features in their daughters, the eyes sparkling with curiosity, the quiet courage, and that determination to protect what was theirs. After a few minutes of playing, Emily approached. "Lucas, I don't want to pressure you, but you have to understand that you've missed a lot. Their first words, their laughter, their tears, all of that without you." Lucas looked down, unable to answer. Guilt overwhelmed him. "I know," he finally murmured. "But I want to make up for lost time. Even if I know it will never be enough to erase the past." Emily nodded, recognizing the sincerity in his eyes. "So start by being present. Today, tomorrow, and the days after. They need to feel that you are there." Lucas stood up, determined. He knew the road ahead would be long and full of challenges. But for the first time in 7 years, he felt ready to face the past he had ignored. And in the girl's eyes, a small spark of hope began to shine. Perhaps, despite the lost years, a family could still rise from its ashes. Lucas had spent the morning with Lily and Mia, getting to know their little habits, their tastes, and even their quirks. But despite the smiles and laughter, a tension lingered in the air. Emily remained on guard, watching Lucas's every move, every word. "Emily, I want you to know," Lucas began, joining her in the kitchen. "I'm not perfect, I know I've missed out on so much, but I want to be there for them now." Emily crossed her arms, her expression firm. "Lucas, you don't understand. It's not just about presence. It's about trust. I raised them alone for 7 years. They learned to get by without you. And now you come along as if everything could go back to normal." Lucas felt the bite of her words. He knew Emily was right, but he couldn't help but feel a mixture of anger and frustration, anger at himself, frustration at the wasted years. "I don't expect everything to go back to the way it was," he replied softly. "But I want to at least try. Give me a chance to prove I can be a good father." Emily looked at him for a long time, then sighed. "All right, you'll have a chance. But know that it will be long and difficult. And every mistake you make, I will notice." Meanwhile, Lily and Mia watched from the doorway. They felt the tension, but they also understood that something new, fragile but real, was beginning to form. Later that afternoon, Lucas took the girls to the park. The first attempts at bonding were awkward, punctuated by awkward silences and clumsiness. But gradually, genuine laughter erupted, and for a brief moment, Lucas felt a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. Yet, in the back of his mind, one question lingered: why had Emily hidden her pregnancy? Was it just to protect him, or were there other secrets he hadn't yet discovered? This thought tormented him, for he felt that the return of his daughters was only the beginning of a series of revelations that would change his life forever. The following days were filled with bittersweet moments for Lucas. He was getting to know Lily and Mia, understanding their personalities, their fears, and their joys. But one question lingered in his mind: why had Emily disappeared? Why had she never tried to contact him? One evening, when he came home late from work, Lucas found Emily sitting in the living room with a file open in front of her. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying. "Emily, is everything okay?" he asked softly. Emily looked away, her hands gripping the file. "It's not easy for me either, Lucas. These 7 years. I haven't just hidden my pregnancy. There are things you don't know yet. Things you need to know before you claim to be a father to our daughters." Lucas felt his heart sink. "Please talk to me. I deserve to know the truth." Emily took a deep breath and began to speak. She revealed that, shortly after his disappearance, she had faced external threats. People connected to the company, or some of Lucas's business, had tried to manipulate her to get something from him. She had fled to protect their children and lived in the shadows, fighting alone for their safety. Lucas was stunned. He had never imagined that the world he knew could put his family in danger. "Emily. I didn't know. I never imagined that." "I know," she said calmly. "It wasn't your choice. But now it's up to you to decide if you're ready to face all of this, to face these threats with us, and to truly be there for our daughters." Lucas closed his eyes for a moment, letting the weight of these revelations sink in. He realized that his quiet life, his perfect business world, had been an illusion. And now, to protect those he loved, he had to step out of his comfort zone and confront a past he had never wanted to see. He took Emily's hand. "I'm ready. No matter what lies ahead. I want to be with you, with them. We'll face anything, together." Emily looked at him, her eyes shining with emotion, and for the first time in years, a genuine smile lit up her face. But outside, in the shadows, eyes were watching their every move, and the truth Emily had hidden threatened to shatter their fragile happiness at any moment. Lucas Whitman thought his greatest battles were confined to boardrooms and business contracts. But he soon discovered that protecting his family would be far more complex than any negotiation. One evening, while he was working late in his office, his phone vibrated. An anonymous message. "You should never have come back into his life. Children are precious, to us." Lucas's blood ran cold. His hands trembled as he reread the message several times. Emily needed to be protected, but he knew the first step was understanding who was threatening them and why. He rushed to Emily's house. She was sitting with Lily and Mia, reading a book to them. Lucas felt a wave of guilt and fear. "Emily, we have a problem," he said, placing the phone on the table. "It's serious." Emily took the message and read it, her face paling. "I knew this would happen one day," she said firmly. "These people want what I've been protecting for 7 years. They never gave up." Lucas felt anger rise inside him. He had never let anyone threaten his family. "Then we must be ready," he said determinedly. "I will never let anyone hurt them. Emily Boy-Latet. We'll have to be careful, plan every move, and you'll have to understand that your children aren't just pieces in your business world. They're everything to me, and now to you too." Lucas took a deep breath. He knew what he was about to do would be dangerous, but for the first time, he felt his life had found true meaning. Protecting Emily and their daughters, rebuilding their family, this was more important than anything else. That night, as Lily and Mia slept peacefully in their rooms, Lucas and Emily planned their next move. The threats from the past were still present, but their determination to stay united was stronger. For Lucas, the lesson was clear: some battles can't be won alone. And to protect what he loved, he had to become more than a CEO, he had to become a father and an ally. The following weeks were tense. Lucas and Emily had implemented security measures around the girls' house and school. But despite all the precautions, incidents began to occur. One morning, as Lucas was dropping Lily and Mia off at school, he noticed a car parked suspiciously outside the entrance. A masked figure was watching the children from inside. His blood ran cold. "Emily," he said quietly, calling on his phone. "Get ready. I think they're here." Emily felt her heart beat faster. 7 years of vigilance had culminated at that precise moment. "Lucas, they're not joking. We have to stay calm and protect the girls." During the day, anonymous messages, intimidating calls, and even an attempted break-in were recorded. Lucas realized that these enemies weren't just trying to scare Emily, they were trying to take control of everything she owned, including her children. But what Lucas discovered next surprised him even more. In an old recording Emily left behind, she explained how she'd had to manipulate certain contacts in her inner circle to keep her daughters safe. The lies, the hiding places, the false identities, everything had been necessary for their children to survive. Lucas felt a wave of guilt and admiration. Emily had sacrificed everything for them, and he had only been a spectator for 7 years. That evening, around dinner, Lucas made a decision. "Emily, we're going to face them together. I refuse to let anyone endanger our girls. And I want you to know, Lily, Mia, that I will always be there for you." The girls, still young and innocent, felt the determination in their father's voice. For the first time in a long time, they felt safe, even though the shadows of the past still hovered around them. Emily smiled gratefully. For the first time, she felt that Lucas was not only ready to make up for lost time, but also to become the father and man she had always hoped he would be. But one question remained: who was really behind these threats? And how far would they be willing to go to achieve their goals? Lucas Whitman knew by now that staying on the defensive was no longer enough. The incidents were escalating, and it was time to find out who was really behind these threats. With Emily, they began analyzing every clue, every message, and every suspicious behavior. One evening, while reviewing the house's security footage, Lucas noticed something strange. An employee of his company, previously considered loyal, had been seen several times near the girls' school. "Emily," Lucas murmured. "I think I know who might be involved." Emily shuddered, but nodded. "I suspected there was someone on the inside. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't want you to get carried away with anger before I had all the proof." In the following days, Lucas used his contacts to discreetly investigate the employee. What he discovered shocked him. The man had been paid by a mysterious and powerful external organization that knew everything about their past and wanted to seize what Emily had been protecting for years. "They're more organized than we thought," Emily said, her voice shaky but determined. "And they won't stop until they get what they want." Lucas clenched his fists, the fire of anger and protectiveness lighting his eyes. "Then it's time to go on the offensive. I won't stand by while they endanger our children. We will confront them and stop them." Emily nodded, knowing this decision would change everything. The following days were a mixture of action and tension. Lucas and Emily set traps, gathered evidence, and planned a strategic confrontation with the organization. Every step was calculated, every move risky. But their determination to protect Lily and Mia was stronger than their fear. And as they prepared to strike, Lucas looked at his daughters sleeping in their room. He knew this fight would be dangerous, but he was ready to do anything for them. That night, the silence in the house was deceptive. A storm was brewing, and nothing could stop the flood of truths and confrontations that would follow. Lucas Whitman and Emily had spent days planning their action. Every detail, every move of the enemy organization, had been analyzed. And now the moment had arrived, to confront their adversaries directly. They found themselves in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, the location chosen by their enemies for a clandestine meeting. The girls had remained safe with a trusted team, but Lucas's worry was palpable. Inside, several figures stepped out of the shadows. The leader of the organization stepped forward, an elegant man with an icy gaze, who knew Emily and Lucas's secrets all too well. "Mr. Whitman, Mrs. Harper," he said with a cold smile. You came alone? Do you really think you can stop us? Lucas felt anger rise in him, but he took a deep breath. We're not playing games. You touch my family, and you'll pay the price. Emily, at his side, added. Everything we've done these past 7 years to protect our children has been for this moment. And we're not going to fail now. The confrontation erupted. Threats, shouting, and tough negotiations ensued. Lucas and Emily revealed all the evidence they had gathered, exposing the organization's manipulations and crimes. The leader paled, realizing that his careful plan was about to collapse. You don't know who you're dealing with, he said, but Lucas, for the first time in a long time, wasn't intimidated. I know exactly who I'm dealing with, he replied firmly. And you will never destroy what I have built, or what I love. Finally, after an intense and strategic confrontation, the organization was neutralized, and the leader arrested. Emily and Lucas had proven that together, they were invincible. As they left the warehouse, Lucas felt a surge of relief. This fight was only the beginning, but he had managed to protect his daughters and show that he was willing to do anything for them. Emily placed her hand on his. It's over, for now. But now we can finally think about the future, about our family. Lucas nodded, looking towards Lily and Mia. After 7 years of secrets, fear, and distance, the family he had so hoped for could finally begin to rebuild. The following weeks were a time of rebuilding. Lucas Whitman was now reunited with his daughters, and Emily finally felt free from the burden of years of secrecy and fear. The house, once silent and filled with uncertainty, now vibrated with laughter and life. Lucas spent more and more time with Lily and Mia, getting to know their habits, their quirks, and especially their dreams. Every moment spent together was precious, every smile, every hug strengthening the bond they'd lost 7 years ago. One evening, while they were all having dinner together, Emily looked at Lucas and said quietly, You know, Lucas, you've been away for 7 years, but I think you're exactly the father they needed. Lucas felt a deep emotion wash over him. He took his daughter's hands and extended them to Emily. And you were the bravest mother I've ever known. Now we're all together, and that's all that matters. Lily, the eldest, smiled shyly and said, Dad. I'm glad you're here now. Mia, shaking her sister's hand, added, Yes, stay with us. Lucas felt tears welling up, but this time they were tears of happiness and relief. After 7 years of distance and secrets, he had finally been reunited with his family. The past, with all its wounds and threats, remained a part of their story, but it no longer dictated their future. Together, they could face anything. As night fell, Lucas, Emily, Lily, and Mia sat in the living room, surrounded by the warmth of their newfound home. For the first time in a long time, they could breathe, laugh, and simply be a family. The road had been long and fraught, but the lesson was clear: true power lies in love, protection, and unity. And now, nothing could separate them. 3 years had passed since the terrible revelations and confrontations that had marked the lives of Lucas, Emily, Lily, and Mia. The family was now united, stronger than ever. Every morning, Lucas prepared breakfast with the girls, laughing at their innocent jokes and listening to them share their dreams for the future. Emily, by his side, savored these simple moments, far from the dangers and secrets that had marked their past. One sunny afternoon, as the family strolled through the park, Lucas watched Lily and Mia running and playing, their laughter echoing in the fresh air. He felt a deep sense of gratitude. You know, he said emotionally, I could never completely make up for the lost years, but I promise to spend every day being the father you deserve. Lily threw herself into his arms. You're already the best dad, she replied, smiling. Emily placed her hand on Lucas's, a tender smile on her face. We've all survived so much, she said softly. And now we have the chance to build our own happiness, together. Lucas looked at his family, moved. The trials, threats, and secrets were now a thing of the past. Before him lay a bright future filled with love, laughter, and simple but precious moments. What they had been through had strengthened their bond, and each knew that no matter what life threw at them, they would face it together. For Emily, for their daughters, and for the man and woman they had become, peace and happiness were no longer a dream, but a reality they shared every day. And in that perfect moment, Lucas knew that after 7 years of emptiness and secrets, he had finally found his true place, that of a father, a husband, and a man capable of protecting and loving his family more than anything in the world.